We're underground. The following the shuffling of clawed feet on gravel, clinking of chains, and behind the heavier sounds of leather boots crunching in that same gravel. The sound of a key in a fairly complicated lock, and the creaking noise of jail bars opening. Oh, come on, you lot, get in there! The crack of a whip, and again, those clawed feet scurrying into the cage. Door closed, heavy thump. An intricate series of clicks, and as a mechanism sort of locks it into place. We find ourselves in a underground space underneath Waterdeep. Anyone who is familiar with Waterdeep knows that whatever is under the city is basically hollow underneath. And no one has ever been able to map it completely. Here in these tunnels marked by the Zentarum, and we find a caged off alleyway or cul-de-sac with a small troop of kobolds, varying in coloring and different sizes that would indicate multiple origins. We see one now familiar to us, though color a bit deeper and a bit more obscure than the one we would know, but we see a blue small kobold, which we would recognize as Gizmo. As you've been pushed into, all six of you, into this cage, you sort of scurry about looking pitiful, because that's the best way not to get taunted by the foreman or the guard, who is now sort of seated at the entrance of this alleyway, taking up a pipe, starting to smoke, and being distracted by the intricate shapes that the pipe is blowing into the air in front of him. The smallest of the crew, what is his name? What is his name?
Are you looking for?
Yeah, I'm looking, but you can tell me.
You're looking for the big boss?
No, the smaller one.
Or
The smallest one.
Alistair Flogsweat.
No, I'm talking about your companions.
Oh, sorry.
The smallest of the kobolds seems to, at some point, start having not necessarily an attack, but it starts with hiccups, and then those hiccups grow gradually closer to the mouth and start having retching sounds. Not enough for there to be any worry, but it's definitely not something usual. And at that point, he spits out from back of the gullet, covered in spit, a small, intricate piece of metal with some wiring and glyph work on it. Gizmo, you would recognize this immediately as a Whismer. An integral piece of what you are currently building. Somewhere you have a series of there is a project that you've been building here for the past couple of weeks, stealing pieces, not only you, but the other kobolds as well, in the idea that no, we need to do something. The guards were tired of you picking the locks all the time, to the point where they had you invent a foolproof lock, which they now have installed in front of your cage. And I don't know if it's a matter of pride or a matter of ineptitude that you've decided it's not worth trying because I made this, and so I know that I can't get, because I made it so that I wouldn't be able to pick it. I'm not going to even try. The Whismer is in your hand. You sort of clean it off with a piece of cloth that that's been thrown in this cage as sort of as bedding. And then the other another kobold, a bit bigger one, Zaz, I believe. More reddish tones, maybe a bit more craggy. This one was probably somewhere in the mountain. Is a mountain kobold. So the lines are deeper, less smooth, as opposed to others that are maybe from the lower lands or marshland, like the smaller one who just regurgitated. He's a very dark brown, scales almost smooth like a serpent's. Found family in a way. You bring out, now that you're pretty sure that with the retching and everything that the guard is completely not paying attention to you. You bring out the machine. Can you describe the machine for us?
Well, at first sight, it doesn't look like anything interesting. It's just basically what you could describe as the, let's say, the outside part of a mirror, basically, like a frame of a mirror, but without an actual reflecting surface in the middle. And it looks like a circlet, nothing too fancy. It just looks very barely hanging on. It looks very improvised in a way.
A Gribble is the one who sort of looks to this and goes,
Seems to be missing something.
As he sort of moves, you can, as he sort of, he taps, he's got half of his hand went missing a few days ago, and he's still getting used to that those prosthetic fingers that he has. Sort of taps metallic on metal on metal. They're going, Spat, your assistant, who again looks it up and down through the project.
No. I know what's missing. What's missing? We need Silbop. Left-handed Silbop.
Sure? Left-handed?
Yes, look, fit here.
That's where the sparkle goes.
No spoinkle. Need left hand, Silbop.
I'll show you. I take out a sparkle from probably the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Sparkle. See?
No, Spunkle overload. Very dangerous.
And then Zaz, who was the one who sort of sputtered, goes,
Maybe not enough. Now Spunkle good. Could interact well with Plumbus. Make mark here. And make glorious work.
which is kind of the sign that Gizmo and all the others know that if Zaz is talking about glorious results, well, that's how one of you lost his hand. The conversation goes on with mutterings and, I mean, techno babble that you would know enough to understand each other, but amongst yourself, there's not even need for code. Nobody knows what you're talking about, and it's been, well, your handlers have decided that they're not going to even try. They're just happy with the results. They know that you can assemble things in a certain way, in a certain order, precisely, more or less. But you do know that one thing is you're going to be working towards is this machine, this contraption, this gizmo TM contraction is the way out. A glorious purpose indeed. Friends, foes, and those in between, welcome. Welcome one and all. How are we doing tonight, friends?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Good and ready to go.
Ask us again after Astrea chews us out.
Says the man with the mouth, with the jaws. Farron is the man with the mouth. Pax is the man with the jaws.
Yeah.
Gizmo's the man with the claws, and
to...
Astrea is everything else.
Mouth which he hasn't been really putting to good use recently, but hey, live and learn. You have to live to learn, though, so hopefully he's going to do that.
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
Huh?
So, small little recap. Tressa, the ship's cook, your crew's cook, had seemingly had some suspicions about one of the druids here on Maladale Island. A person that she recognized to be probably a former, or at least in that time, Imperial agent. As you brought this to Captain Almond and First Mate Hazel's attention, and they gave you their benediction in a way to investigate it. Half of you went to Bayleaf, this druid's name, Bayleaf's quarters, and found clear evidence that they might be working in some capacity for the Empire, as you had found a notebook with specifically a cipher. Astrea, you having assaulted enough enemy sort of Imperial ships to know that this is how they would write to sort of keep things private. Doesn't mean you have the cipher or the actual key to decipher it. But Pax and Farron, you had moved to confront this druid directly. And after a short conversation, he had gone up, moved to pretty much excused himself from you, Farron, and had headed towards the building next to the gardens. You decided to pursue, found him in company of two others, and as you confronted them there, they decided to try and scatter. A code word or code phrase launched by Bayleaf to the other two. The fight was short, intense, made a lot of noise, to the point where the surrounding druids and gardeners decided that they needed to step in. And the way druids step in is, we're gonna we're gonna call the captain. Entanglement for everybody. As we now stand, Almond has been made aware of the situation. But interrogation is going nowhere. And so she called her expert, a insect-like member of her community, a Thrycreen. By the name of Philly. Yes, that is a direct reference to Phillidae, which is the genome of praying mantises. Anyways, the bark, not praying mantises, stick bugs. The bark-colored druid sort of comes up and starts to basically rummage through Bayleaf's memories. During that time, there was a conversation as you had confirmation that this was one of the methods of verifying crew for the Blood Lilies. Anybody can say that they've had that dream, but they have methods to verify if that dream was actually real or not, or if it's just a person saying that they had it. All three of these druids now laid knees in the soil next to you, Farron and Pax, who have not been let go, by the way. Vines sort of grasping around you. Those vines have now hardened to roots, to the point where it's so almost something more. You wouldn't need to hold concentration on living vines. This has become solid wood around you. It would actually take an action, and it would take magic to undo your restraints rather than the other way around. You can always try and break free, but that's something different. The Thrycreen sort of lifts its head up from Bayleaf, turning to Almond, and there's a chittering from the insectoid mouth. Almond sort of looks up to Hazel, who's been taking notes, and it's Hazel who interprets. He goes, "Well, Captain, it seems that as far as our friend is concerned, everything is normal. Though there are some discrepancies, but mostly pushing those discrepancies have shown... Wait, are you certain? There's a blockage. Captain, this man's memories have been blocked off. Closed. Either he has an extreme will, or he's been... Oh, this is artificial? How would you know this? No, I do not doubt your... Yes, of course. They have asked that we trust them on this matter, and that his memory has indeed been put under some kind of lock. Unfortunately, it is apparently beyond beyond their measure to go through it like this without damaging... What did you say? There's some imagery about grey matter coming through the nose. Almond sort of turns to Bayleaf and goes, "Well, that would be enough for me to bury you up to your ears under the roots, and you nourishing the tree. However, we can maybe work on something if you would just answer a few questions. And Bayleaf sort of, he's been sort of muttering this whole time. Farron, you've been listening. It sounds like a prayer or something along those lines. Sort of moves on. Actually, you know what, Farron? Make me a perception check. I'm guessing you've been keeping an eye. You've been keeping an eye on him.
I was gonna ask, yeah. Because if the guy's been casting, let's see. You said perception check, right?
Yes, please.
All right. We now return to our regularly scheduled D&D Beyond fuck-ups. So, any time now. There we go. Okay, which one is that? Oh, that's good. That's good.
A 21. That's very
Nice.
good job. Just on it. I think that he's muttering. And again, it is it is definitely a prayer, because you can hear the mentions. It's not a prayer that you know, but then again, you're not really sure about what would you know about imperial religion, or you know it because there are mentions of the four gods, of the expanse and so forth. But I think what catches your attention is the fact that he's fidgeting. His hand is fidgeting. It's with a 21. I'll say you just managed to sort of maybe creak your neck and have a look. He has like many people around here, he's got rings on at his on his fingers, like others with jewelry and that kind of thing. And this one seems to be almost one of those rings within rings, so the fidget kind of. Yeah. And he's been doing this almost like a prayer bead, like prayer beads, and he's been moving this along. And I think this is definitely something that you've seen people do, right?
Okay.
Necklaces or prayer beads are a bit complicated when things move around in action, and so you'll have these small sort of prayer wheels that you just slip on your finger.
Sure.
But there's I think as he raises his head, he's been doing this, and then as he stops, as he's just about as he's open to speak, he stops it and basically flicks it in the other direction.
Okay, am I getting a verbal and somatic component thing from this?
I mean, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to reward your paranoia. I'm just telling you what you saw. If you want to try and go for insight or arcana, that's something different. That's something as well.
Okay. On top of that, let's see what would work best. I mean, it's either let's go with insight. Let's go with insight because I don't think that, if that's okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
And what do we have this time? Okay.
Okay. Well, we've got Farron. Farron is on point.
Yep.
With the dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
Yeah. I think that you don't know if this is specific, if it's verbal, somatic, or whatnot, because you are very new to magic yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, you can definitely see that while in his restraints, so this sort of wooden how should I put it? Harness, I guess. He's in. You see his shoulders relax. And the smile that he has is one that there's a sense of not accomplishment, but there's a look of worry that was there a minute ago that is no longer there. As he sort of settles, he sort of settles. You get the tension that he had in his shoulders and the hands is now gone, and he's no longer doing anything with the ring.
Right. If I may, you might want to bind his hand and have a look at that ring on his index finger he's been playing with.
What? I think Alman turns to you immediately again in the idea that talk when you're supposed to be, and you go, "What ring?"
Oh.
Shresa and the woman who's been sort of who's been holding them said, "Captain, what ring is he talking about?" "I don't know. There wasn't a ring when. Wait, there is a ring now." And she sort of there is an arcane movement as Shessa sort of painfully, you can see the agony of of Bayleaf's as basically vines sort of wrap around the hand, pulling the finger off, forcing the finger not forcing the finger off, but forcing the ring off the finger. And so you have this sort of the ring itself is a sort of platinum and glass ring. The center of it sort of the platinum base, and then this slight sort of blue line, almost turquoise line of glass, sea glass in the middle. And she goes, "Oh, there was a ring. I'm not sure how I didn't see it when we looked them over." Grabs it and sort of I think Alman goes to sort of grab it. Hazel goes, "Captain, we never know what mother," and sort of again picks up a stick basically and just sort of hoops it. Goes, "Huh. Well, there's a flash in the glasses as the glasses go anime white." Goes, "This is definitely an object of power of some sort, and recently activated." Almond turns to Bailey and goes, "Huh. Well, not all memories apparently were blocked off. Right then. Astrea, Captain Astrea. I would like to thank you and your crew for having brought this to my attention. Apparently, this man was indeed a spy, and from what we can tell, has done something. We'll have to identify the ring and its use, but the ring starts to immediately not disintegrate, but the glass seems to sort of bubble. As something seems to sort of it seems to bubble.
Careful.
And it dissolves, turns to literally liquefies and drops to the ground, and then dissolves, leaving a groove within the ring, and there you can see intricate runic and sort of patterns all around it, confirming its magical usage. Yeah. Captain, I... Just looking at these, I believe I recognize the model. This was definitely meant to send a message. Unfortunately, I can't tell what the glass portion's use was for it. I would have to Well then, damage has been done. This island is now going on alert. The three of you are going into the roots, and we'll talk to you in about a week to kind of see what's going to be done with you. Very well? Good. Turns to the bear, who's been sort of onto the side. The bear sort of gets up, rummages, and basically slams its paw onto the ground, and all three of them disappear into the soil. Right then. Could you, our guest? Yeah. The druid sort of has again a movement of her hands, and you can feel Pax and Farron. You can feel the restraint sort of lift off, and sort of slowly sink back into the ground.
Thank you. So sorry about speaking out of turn earlier.
Stop.
It was a.
That is going to be discussed with your captain. I am not going to discipline a member who is not of my crew. However, accepted. Right. Captain Astrea, things are going to be... It might be nothing. However, as I mentioned earlier in our conversations, this is a Sentinel Island. If we are expecting any form of attack, we need to be prepared, and I must get my crew into battle.
Fighting ship.
Right.
Yes.
Shouldn't take too long. We are used to being on alert. I'm just elevating the circumstances. Hazel, if you would do the honors. Hazel, again, sort of nods. She brings out a small whistle. It looks like any sort of, like any other sort of mariner's whistle. When she blows into it, you do not hear anything. However, every single druid in your vicinity perks up, and they start moving. If there were anything that they were gardening is left to the side. Some of them shapeshift and burrow underground. Others fly into the branches above. They scatter.
Sure, we'll turn to Pax and the rest of the crew that's there and say, I need you to gather the crew. Let's do it in an out-of-the-way location. And because we need to have a talk with our crew as well. Warn them of what's coming.
Captain, Tiberius, if you could take care of our guests, bring them to the appropriate... If you do not mind, Captain, while there is a measure of trust between us, I do not know if your crew has been infiltrated as well. Therefore, with your permission, I will be keeping you, at least for the next couple of days, you will be secure, fed, lodged. However, I cannot trust you with general...
Details of the island's protection measures.
We are in agreement. Tiberius, could you please take our guests to their lodgings for the next couple of days? Make sure that they are comfortable. Understood?
Yes, Captain.
And you are escorted. Tiberius immediately sort of has... you're not exactly sure. Out of his pockets, there are 3 chipmunks that sort of seem to be in his pockets, and he sort of whispers to them, drops them to the ground. They scatter as well. And this is where we'd have a montage, right, of other members of the crew either talking to a druid or wandering the gardens or wandering the island and seeing a druid sort of perk up, turn to them and go, please, follow me now. There are some who are scared, some who are resistant. Any resistant are dealt with fairly quickly, as an entanglement or some form of pacification. Who do you think would be the ones? So who would be coming willingly? Who would be coming persuaded at knife's end? Let's put it this way. And who would have to be completely, sort of, secured? Who are you seeing brought to you wrapped in vines? Is my question.
My guess is Emil will be very difficult to convince, and so
I would say Emil is nowhere to be found.
yeah, probably actually.
I think Emil dove into the sea
Big
as soon
time,
as
yeah.
as soon as folk started walking up the deck.
Yeah.
If we're going with the whole crew, Tressa approximately knows what's happening, so she'll probably
Yeah.
just come with.
I would like to say, I don't think Still is going to be fully calm. I don't think Still is going to go as far as waiting till she's incapacitated, but Still is nervous already. I don't see Still just being like, why, and not getting an answer and being happy
You know
with
what?
that.
Roll me a d20 for her.
Sure thing.
Just straight roll 20.
13.
13. With a 13, I can definitely see her at least throwing one punch.
Oh, yeah.
Going, no. Wondering what's going on. And then maybe the druid, maybe, maybe getting a bit cozy with the druid, and the druid just going, right, I know we were supposed to make out, however, I need you to come with me now. And he goes, what? And so there's that very much the situation of, no, where are you taking me?
That punch is
And then-
justified then.
I don't think Still is one to punch with her fist. I think she's more of a. Elbow.
Yeah.
She's one for elbows, right? Because two-handed axe, bang.
The woman's a barbarian.
I'm trying to see if I can make her into a pugilist, but that is. But yeah, definitely. And I think. Actually, how do you feel? What's his name again? Tonight, the names are just.
Well, Pebblebrook will probably.
Oh, Pebblebrook is definitely one of those people who said, "You know what? Go urgency. I'll talk my way out anyway." So definitely going. Okay, no, we're good. Pebblebrook is definitely the one who arrives with hands fully extended to the top rather than just comfortably, here at the side. I go, nope, I'm good. I think probably the first one brought in. So as you are basically walked into the tree itself. There is a series. The tree has been sort of carved. The outer bark of it has sort of been carved in these different tunnels, and which you had not noticed as Tiberius literally knocks twice on the wood. On the bark, the dryad who you've seen previously sort of pokes it. Oh, are these to be kept safe? And then if so, in what manner? No, safe. Okay, lodging. So guest lodgings. Yes, thank you. Okay, just follow the track. You won't be able to miss it. It's the only door you'll see. And she retracts back into the wood. And the bark sort of opens up with a creak, and you follow. You go inside. For those who, I can't really help with the illumination, so please hold hands for those who can't see in the dark.
Heavy hand dropping on Farron's shoulder.
It's all right, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, Astrea didn't take a light cantrip, so
Remind me what kind of cleric you are?
yeah, right. What's the limit on that thing actually?
It's 1 hour, I believe.
Because no, the limit on the amount of people. Up to 4 willing creatures. So who would they target with it?
Well, I do believe I'm the only poor fucker without dark vision.
Yeah, no, but
Again.
will the half giant, the halfling, or the female minotaur also be blind? Probably.
Maybe not, but you've got a couple. But you maybe have a
Yeah.
couple of.
I'll target one every interval, just so
Okay.
that someone has a little bit more of a yeah. And as how would this tree? Well, it's flames, so you've got a tiny speck of flame, just hopping from Astrea's raised hand onto 4 creatures in the row. And Pax, you feel as the flames spark jump right into your eyes. For a fraction of a second, you've got a little bit of a flash, and then you actually see perfectly in the dark now.
Oh, so that's what the world looks like without color.
The thing is, I think that it's still twilight. So yeah, the fire in your eyes. You're not seeing in the dark. It's almost like the dark is illuminated, right? As in there is, if you've ever seen dust in the sun, it has that sort of sparkling effect, but you can see about 100 meters away, much further than you've ever thought to be able to see. As you move up, you find, I think, yeah, you definitely see, you find in these sort of, they're fairly large quarters. It's just one big room, basically, but it's comfortable enough. And as you enter, you can see that, like I said, names tonight are bad. Let's see. Here we go. Koya. You can see that Koya is in the center of the room, and she's sort of almost like pulling. She's pulling and pushing her against the walls, as a series of bunks, basically almost like shelves, sort of appear out of the wood as she's going. Oh, how many are you in all?
Well, let's do a head count, I suppose. And I can like go through who else has come with us in this space.
Well, she's asking for.
Everyone. So
I think it was at you guys were what 14, 13?
12.
12.
Yeah,
12 without a meal, yeah.
12 without
Yeah.
a meal. Okay. 12. Oh, that could be done. Maybe move it, and she sort of pushes back, and you can see that there's a another little sort of side room that sort of pushes out. Facilities will be over there, and basically she just sort of, it looks like a youth hostel in a way, sort of very basic, but cushy enough. I will be closing, locking you in. Do not worry, there is plenty of air. If you need anything, just tap twice. I will not be far off.
What type of illuminations are we allowed in here?
Yes, I will arrange for that. Just a moment. And she basically dives into it. And a moment later, a bubble of sap seems to sort of grow and blow sort of at several places of the room, and are literally spat into them a series of glowworms and fireflies. So gone is the illumination that you had outside, but something a bit more, a bit closer to what you would have in the middle of the in the middle of the astral sea. Not great illumination by our standards, but for you it's good enough.
Because I don't want to start a fire in a tree.
Fair enough. Well, the dryad will be pissed. As far as you understand, it takes maybe another. There's another maybe one or two. Sort of convoys, but I think the last one to arrive is still where she basically sort of angrily shakes off and goes, sort of tries to sort of that last little intimidation on the druid who is very apologetic. Very apologetic.
The druids are Canadian.
Yeah, maybe. That one is.
I think as soon as Pax does see the agitation of, still being brought in last, because Pax is counting until the entirety of the crew is accounted for. He's not engaging it with anything else or looking in the room or talking to anyone until he's had the full head count. I think he's clever enough to realize Emil probably took a dive and he's fine. But he would pretty much step in, still being pissed off, pretty much just wanting to take her over from the druids before she lands another, goodbye punch.
I think you can see that Dunnan and Daikin are both, they have bruises as well. Mostly around there. I think Dunnan is very much sort of doing this motion and sort of rubbing his wrists, and you can see that there's been the same way his brother is. No, sorry, they're not. There's no relation. So Daikin is sort of nursing a sort of maybe a swollen jaw. And I think it's Karen as sort of what's going on? They said that we would come here for on protection.
Astrea looks at everyone and will say, if everyone will please take a seat, this will take a moment of explanations. We are not in any kind of danger, just find a place, find a spot, make yourself comfortable. We might be here for a while. So, once everyone is seated, our hosts have, with our help, and I'm not going to identify anyone, the ones who know, identified a traitor amidst their crew.
Tressa just waves her hands. You can say it was me, Captain. No shame in that.
No shame. But there might have been protection in anonymity.
I trust you folk, right? And everybody's going. Yeah, there's sort of acknowledgement, but no, don't worry, Tressa. We'll remind you of this.
So, unfortunately, the spy has managed to get a message out, and we have no clue of what that message was or what it entailed and what the response is going to be. So for our protection and their secrets, we have been temporarily housed here so that they can put their island on full alert. And as soon as we have a more thorough idea of what's going on, we will be released. We are not here as captives. We are simply here for everyone's security.
I think Asen is the one who sort of picks up that. That's all well and said there, Captain, but still, if they wished to what are they going to do? How long? They could keep us here as long as they wanted. And the way that they've been handling this room, pretty sure they can crush us at any time. So what's the play here? Talk our way out? Just wait it out and just hope for the best?
For right now, I want to trust their captain, who has been very helpful and going above and beyond what her hosting duties entail. So I'm extending her grace. Our crew is resourceful, and should there be even an ounce of danger or feeling of imprisonment at any point, I trust this crew and I know my abilities. If they get us, they'll pay for it. I know what our abilities are. We were stranded, we made it out. I trust every one of you. I'm pretty sure we can make it out. Not easily, but I've got good confidence in everyone. But for now, we're going to extend them at least a 24-hour grace period for them to resolve their crisis. After that, either they come to talk to us and we have an answer, or we'll see what we can manage this time.
Dunan then goes, that's again, Captain. You're at the wheel, so. Now, something's to be said as well as it going. There's quite a few of us here in this room that are Imperial born. Is that going to be causing any problems?
You tell me. Is it?
He sort of looks to Dyke and Nixon. No, Captain. It's just. I mean. Speaking for myself, right? Well, I guess I'll just have to lay low, huh?
I know for a certainty and a fact that taking into account the amount of time we've been stranded, if any one of your Imperials had a way to contact your officers or superiors or anyone, a ship would have come. A ship would have been there. Because at least they would have wanted to know what happened to one of their biggest ships. They might not have come for you because lowly sailors don't always deserve, unfortunately, in the mind of some, rescue, but they would have wanted an answer and they would have been alerted. So, based on that, I trust all of you. With rationality and with everything that we've been through together, I trust every one of you guys. Now, I don't want to say it, but should any one of you betray us now that we are a ship and a crew, you will feel my wrath. But we're not there. There have been no threats, there have been no obvious signs, and the spies were found planted into the crew of the Lilies for a while now. So I don't think it is linked in any way, shape, or form. I just think the spies had the misfortune of having been on a ship where one of ours was able to recognize them. So for now, I don't see any threats coming from inside our crew, and I trust you guys.
Orderic,
Well,
Pebblebrook. Oh, go ahead. You want to say something?
Well, this whole thing went down, since I saw the ring of glass, kind of like on Bayleaf's finger, would it be possible to see if anyone here is maybe fidgeting with something similar on the off chance that we did in fact miss something or someone? Does anyone seem to be kind of like wearing an item of jewelry that matches the description of that?
Make me an investigation check.
Investigation, sure. Let's do that. Yeah, that's not as good. That's only a 16.
Sailor, I believe sailors are a superstitious lot, especially this lot, seeing what happened earlier. And there's quite a few Imperials. Yeah, I think that you do see a few of these rings. These prayer rings. None of them are. I think. Let's see. Who would have theirs on them? I actually think Tressa and Dunan both have these rings. Though Tressa seems to wear it. Hers is braided into her beard. Oh, sorry, not her beard. It's sort of braided into her hair. So you would have it's a sort of larger ring. It's sort of a it's basically she braids it through it, and so what she'll do is she sort of moves it about. It's more of like a prayer wheel with her braids going through it. Dunnan has he definitely has he's a thumb ring.
Yeah. I take a mental note of it, not immediately sort of like them, but as a something worth noting. But they do not, I think especially Tressa, lingering headaches notwithstanding, I think does not immediately give me the vibe of someone who's of immediate concern. But I just keep an eye on that.
Okay.
I think probably just at the tail end of Astrea talking to the crew, Pax would have taken Gizmo aside and squatted down completely just to be, well, as much on Gizmo's level as he can be. Gizmo, is it on you or is it on the ship?
What do you mean?
The most valuable thing we own right now. You know exactly what I mean.
Oh, it's on the ship.
And you see his membrane raise a little bit before he just breathes out and it settles back down. Right. I'll have a word with the captain then.
Yeah, you better.
Pax will walk up to Astrea. Business as usual, right? Small room. He's not trying to hide. A word in private, Captain?
To be honest, the only private place is the latrine corner.
Is quite literally the corner he walked out of when he was talking with Gizmo.
Yeah, Astrea will follow you.
Compliance is all well and good. Our object of importance is on the ship, now unguarded several days. As much as I, in general, don't like to be locked up, this is a breach of hospitality, if anything. I won't stand to see my crew handled that way. When we were proven innocent on the spot, and we could have been given the chance to get our crew and things and comply in that measure. They have overwhelming power. This is a treatment I do not tolerate.
Astrea is really looks at you. There's understanding in her eyes. There's also a way where she's thinking about what exactly she's going to answer. Our ship still has one watcher. I will, like I said, keep my trust in Captain Almond for 24 hours. Not a couple of days you're talking about. They are entitled to their secrets, like we are entitled to ours. I understand you are wary of our situation. I am not overly comfortable either. But at this point, the odds we have of saying no and becoming violent towards a crew that so far has done nothing to harm us are worse than if we comply and ask for leniency after 24 hours. So,
Captain,
I know
with
we
due
have
respect, Captain, you have power to set your foot down. Your ship is moored on this harbor. I am not asking for violence, and I'm not asking for facing this foe. I'm a warrior, not a brute or a beast, as some called me. We'll lose. What you said to the crew was nice. But you know well, as I do, that we'll lose if we confront them. I'm not asking that. I'm asking that you set your foot down and demand that we are confined to our vessel rather than an unknown room, away from everything, with no view or knowledge of what is happening, either to our vessel nor to us. We are sailors. They are landlocking us. The crew needs something to believe in, Captain. Give them an order that isn't showing your belly.
Is it the crew or is it you, Pax? Because I have heard nothing from the crew, but you are here, telling me that I'm acting like a coward.
To go investigate this idea in the crew could be seen as planting seeds of mutiny. I'm not here to call you a coward. That's the last thing. I stand by what I said. What I told Isin in his cell before he finally decided to come with us. You took command and got us off that island. A coward doesn't do that. What I am saying right now, Captain, is that I think you're underestimating us. Underestimating you.
What I am doing, Pax, is not underestimating us. It is showing goodwill and faith in a crew that, outside of any known resources, loyalties, or anything, might become real allies. People who have our back because at the point where they were in a crisis, we helped them, we trusted them, and we complied. It is something that is not natural for you, not easy for you. I can understand that. But playing this right will show that we respect them and their secrets, and that therefore we can claim some form of loyalty from them. And in the long game, that is way more valuable than anyone's ego or sense of entrapment or just sense of pride.
You see, Pax, he's saying a lot, but none of it is verbal at that moment. You see his expression briefly twisting into a snarl at the confrontation. Though you don't see surprise, you almost see like he's expected it and puts up a snarl as if to bite down a response. You see his membrane around his neck raise and shake, have that little vibration around it briefly before going back down every time that you see him take a deeper breath in frustration, once more biting down everything that comes in as you speak. Until you finish, he pulls backwards from you. It's your crew, Captain. And then moves to give up on the discussion by walking away.
Astrea is going to go towards Pebblebrook and grab Farron on the way.
Pebblebrook has started. There's been, since you have been talking, apparently he's requested a table be set up, and has basically started he's brought out sort of a series of bone dice, which you have no idea where he got from. Has set up, has sort of already drawn, sort of carved into, basically has carved into the, with his knife, into the wooden table, a sort of a grid, and is already starting to prepare. It's a game that is played on the Expanse where it's sort of like positioning it's a game of dice and positioning where you have fleets, and it's sort of like chess but a bit more mobile. It's a bit more, and so he's already started setting up the game. Karen in front is sort of they're basically chatting about Imperial versus sort of an Imperial variant. It goes, no, that's not how we play that. Yes, but we invented the game. You stole it. You had to change it in order to win. That's how it is. And they're sort of chatting about, and just this conversation, you can feel it almost feels like it's been not rehearsed, but it's artificial. Right? It's artificial cheer. And you can see that Pebblebrook is very much putting on the show of, standing up on the table, being careful not to trample the tokens, standing up to the Minotaur who's still towering above him, despite him being sort of perched up, basically calling her out and saying, yeah, the only way Imperials could win at this game is if they change the rules. That's why you have a variant. There's very much sort of playful jeering coming from the few Imperials that are in the room. Pebblebrook basically in a very halfling way, sort of daring to take all of them all at once, or one by one as they wish. Which is where Astrea, you British come in, as he's got his hand on the hip, looking about all the Imperials, going, I will take each and one of you at this game. Actually, before I want to get that, Theron, because we know what about your past, what's your reaction to seeing this particular game? Do you find interest, or not at all, or is this something bubbling up to the surface?
It's the kind of interest that comes to someone who hasn't been drinking for a while, is trying to stay off a drink, and who sees a new bottle being uncorked. So there's curiosity of, am I actually familiar with that? And I think he full on forgets to act as an officer. He just gets involved in the banter and the exchange of cards, and is sort of somewhere that is very much not this moment until Astrea pulls him aside to join whatever conversation she wants to have. But yeah, he has a reaction, all right.
As you enter Astrea, the room, sort of reminding your presence, a lot of them are just sort of not officer on deck, but almost. As Pebblebrook turns around to you directly, and I think just has a nod and a wink, waiting for basically permission to continue, basically.
Well, if I can... I don't want to interrupt. Just if anyone has a couple of trinkets and or books and or other games that you have in your personal stuff that you want to retrieve, I am compiling a list, and I will ask our hosts to bring back what they can when they have an opportunity, so that we are not without comforts in this place.
I think Pebblebrook turns to you. Oh, Captain, I've already asked them out. The only things are these dice, and I borrowed them earlier. Well, technically last night. They were on the table, just there. I was trying to see who they belong to. He's looking sort of in. But he's saying that he's looking at you, playing these sort of innocent, but you can clearly see that he's looking at the walls and the ceiling.
Yeah.
So no, this I was looking for, but I mean,
Absolutely.
They come in handy now, right? So we don't have to request them.
Well, we can also request. I am sure they have other ways of entertaining ourselves that we might request. That's the least they can do. So.
Oh, And he sort of knocks on the table. Koya, dear, are you listening? She's listening. Koya? Sort of, again, the dryad literally seems to melt out of the wood. Yes, Ostrich. Look, I believe the captain here was wondering if any more amenities, such as if we're going to be here for a while, books, any more dice or anything to, keep the time. I have a few novels that I can bring down. I'm apologize, Captain. I had quite a lot to do, but now I have a bit more free time. I can, if you wish for more private lodgings, a room of your own, I can make that happen. Officers as well. I can bring you the things that you had set, your coffers that you have upstairs. I can bring them down.
That would be helpful. But as to private lodgings, I think for the time being, an extra room would be helpful, but I don't require private lodging for my part. Anyone else?
You see just Pax shaking his head from across the room. It's a small room. I'm guessing we hear that out loud conversation.
I would say it's, for a small room, it's not that much bigger than the general lodgings that you have on the ship, right? It's the no, having actually been on a ship and seen the crew quarters, I know how tiny that is. So that's not going to be. It looks like it's a room. You're comfortable. It's a hostel room for 20 people, right? So it's a bit bigger because you've got two bigger people. But it's not. It's big enough not to be cramped, but it's the size of a small apartment. The captain, Alman, made me tell you that she'll be calling on you in about an hour or two.
Perfect.
She apologizes for the rush and how some of your crew has been treated. It was a matter of urgency, you understand.
Was there? Yes, I understand. I would have hoped there would have been another solution, but I understand the urgency.
And I think she turns, this sort of nods, then she turns to Osric is going, Oscar was looking for those. Should I tell him that you found them? Osric was going, maybe not too soon. And there's just a flash of light behind the face mask of the dryad, indicating some of a cheeky little smile or something, and sort of, I'll see what I can find, and sort of walks right back into the wood. I'll say this. For any of you who are I think Gizmo, I think you would notice this, right? Gizmo, being an artificer, you are maybe more amene to understanding the workings of energy and feeling energy in materials. The wood around you there's almost a hum of energy. As in, it almost feels like there's an engine somewhere, either in the wood or made of wood, or you're placing your hand on the wood itself, and there is, there's a hum of energy being moved, basically. Sort of the same kind of vibration that you would have in something like a like a wand or something. Something along those lines.
That's all I get by just touching the.
That's all you get without a roll. Yeah.
I want to roll. I 100% want to roll.
Okay. Make me an Arcana check.
I'm assuming, yeah, Arcana.
Are
So,
you using any specific tools, any specific method, or are you just putting your hand and wishing for information?
That's a very good question, but I already rolled.
Yes.
Um,
You rolled an 18, but I'm wondering more what
how I want to
yeah.
go about it. Yeah. Fair. Well, I don't really have any specific. I mean, aside from my Tinker tools, which.
Are you going with spells? Are you going with any
Can I use? Oh well, I mean, that could be nice. Actually, I want to use my right hand to touch the external surface of the wood, basically, and then I want to use my left hand as a mage hand to kind of try to dig deeper under the surface of the wood, but
you want to
magically speaking, let's
you
say
want to summon you want to summon your hand in the wood?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, not exactly sure. That's I think
Just
you need
I just want to kind of try to reach into the.
Not sure how mage hand works. That's how mage hand works, but
it just.
Yeah, okay.
It's more for flavor. It's not like
Yeah,
I want
yeah,
to extract something. It's more like magically speaking. I mean the vibration. I want to go deeper into the wood. Let's say, if it makes sense.
So with an 18, there's definitely there's an accumulation of power. There you can feel that there is the wood around you seems to draw energies from somewhere and store it within the wood. But for now, you can feel that energy sort of moving upwards.
Okay.
Where you are right here, you would be maybe about a third of the way up the trunk of the tree. But you're definitely feeling the almost like you're listening to a current of water. You can hear the sap. You can hear the energy moving upwards towards the branches.
Okay. Is it something I feel like that something is gonna happen in the next 5 to 10 seconds?
You have no idea.
That I have to Okay. I have no clue at all.
No.
Huh. Well, the only other person that is, let's say, a bit more attuned to the weave, in this case, would be Farron. So maybe, if we put our minds together, we could figure something out. So I try to sneakily sneak towards Farron without attracting too much attention. I don't run, I don't scream, I just walk to Farron.
I think Farron would still be next to Astrea, kind of like listening on the conversation.
Farron! And I tug to your shirt. Farron!
Yeah?
Do you feel the hum as well? Or is it only me?
The hum?
Yeah.
What?
The humming. The wood. Try to get close to it. It's something's happening.
I'm guessing, DM, would that be perception, arcana? Would that be what?
It could be perception. It could be. I mean, it would be. This would be more perception or investigation. Definitely.
Right, I think since it's it sounds like more an active investigation, so I'm going to go with that. And that's another 16.
Do you have something along the lines of detect magic, of any way?
Detecting. I'm afraid not.
You don't have arcane sight? Damn. What kind of warlock are you?
One that picked the wrong kind of invocations for this
worries.
particular quest.
No worries. I think as a magic user, there's definitely there is a I don't know if it's a hum, but there is maybe some kind of static electricity kind of thing, whereas you can feel the hairs on your hands, sort of as you're placing on not everywhere around you, but definitely on certain areas of the wood where Gizmo sort of shows. There's definitely that sort of static. There's a feeling of static electricity.
I think Gizmo, what you would see is you see Farron almost begin to dance. There's movement of his hands, pausing and leaning as if sort of carried by wind or current. And I think that with time, you start to notice that his body and his hands and his movements are moving with the hum that you're perceiving. Is that what you mean?
I guess so. Do you? Yes.
It's bare. Ooh, but that's. I don't even know what that is.
Me neither.
Is that from the? And I try to see. Essentially, Farron is just going to lie down on the floor next to the thickest root he can find, and try to see if the static electricity or whatnot feels stronger, or if there's some sort of if he can almost trying to see if he can feel the arcane heartbeat of the place, for lack of a better word.
Make me a nature survival check.
Huh. Interestingly enough, I do have a +2 in nature, so that's what I'll pick. And that's another dirty 20.
For someone who hasn't chosen the right invocations, you're doing really well, my friend.
Yeah, ever since the dice reappeared on Roll20,
Don't jinx it.
D&D Beyond, they've been treating me better.
So, from what you can see, and I think it's the ground doesn't. So the ground itself does not seem more charged. But as you're looking on the floor and around, you realize that, and maybe you're going from wall to wall. Some you do not feel that hum, but the place where you are feeling that hum seems to be closest to the heartwood.
Okay.
So the nature check, you check the rings, right? You can see the rings, and you can kind of see the curve of them and see which one is the outside of the tree rather than the inside. From what you can understand, you're fairly on the outside perimeter of the tree, but that hum is definitely coming from the center of the tree, from the heartwood.
Right. Well, if I had to guess, because guessing is the only thing I can do here, but this is a conversation to have with the dryads. I think you're hearing, for lack of a better word, you're hearing the trees. You're hearing whatever druidic magic they have running through this place. And it's it's a lot.
It would be cool to learn, actually. Do you think they can teach us?
That's a whole different way to use magic. I mean, I can. This is what you do is beyond me. This is beyond me, but in a very different way. I suppose. Do you work with plants? Have you worked with them in your little gadgets and things?
Well, we had a plant once. It lasted a week.
Okay. What did the plant do?
Well, it died, Farron.
Yes, I gathered that, but did it die because it wilted, or at this point it wouldn't surprise me if it exploded, so I'm just trying to manage my expectations.
Oh yeah, it had booming fruits. Very fun.
There it is. So so you so were you in charge of the booming fruit plants, or was that someone else?
Well, it was meant to be some kind of, let's say, a shared project, but nobody shared. So it just, wilted away.
Right. Was it because it wasn't a popular project, or because you didn't have that many? I mean, you had colleagues who were working on this? Friends? Family?
Yeah, a little bit of all of those that you said.
You know what? I think this is the first time I've heard you talking about them.
Yeah, Gizmo doesn't really talk that much about them.
Oh, is that a complicated topic, family, for you?
Well, it is a very easy topic. It's not easy for Gizmo to talk about it.
Right. Okay. So did you have some people who were doing that kind of magic then in your family?
They were trying, for sure.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to stay on here forever, so I'm sure that you'll have plenty of questions to ask. Didn't you find those diary papers, the ones about the strange plants and things?
Oh yes, you're right. And I would imagine I still have them on me because we didn't go back to the ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Did you tell us what exactly you found in the little box that belonged to Bayleaf?
Actually, my question is, who has the? Did you keep the diary, or did you give it to Almond?
I remember that we read the diary together with Astrea.
So
That I
in
can
my
tell.
memory, I at least showed it to
Yeah.
Astrea, and Astrea and Hazel. So I gave it to Almond to show, and Almond gave it to Hazel because apparently she could interpret it.
So they have it.
So yeah, they
Okay.
should be the one who have it.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Did you keep the? Did you keep the? Because there was a loose paper as well in it. Did you keep that, or did you give everything?
I probably gave the book, the journal, because that one I couldn't interpret, so I had no clue. But
I mean, the pages were readable.
they saw the loose page, but I think that one Astrea would have kept if in any way, shape, or form possible.
Okay.
Right.
So, Gizmo, you bring out those pages, those papers.
Yes, I shoved them into Farron's face. Look! Everything is here.
Hello. So that's the same guy who wrote.
Which guy?
I take the sheet that you found in the box in Bayleaf's kind of like stash. The guy who wrote this, it's the same guy who wrote the page that you found. The botanist diarist thing. Look at the handwritings.
Yeah, you're right. It's the same person.
So Farron's going to try to remember the context of where that first page was found. And looking at the two, does it seem like they come from the same research materials? Kind of like, is this part of a set, or are those same same author, different texts?
So I mentioned the scraps of paper that you'd found in the lodgings, right, where Gizmo and Astrea, well, actually, where you had been sleeping, your former sleeping quarters. Those had been very much sort of scraps that had been, and you can see that those were first drafts for a journal of some kind, right? So first drafts for a manuscript. The way that so the page that came from Bayleaf's stash, that one seems to be the final product, as in still a manuscript, but it had proper writing, it wasn't scribbled, and this page was properly maybe either sheared or cleanly taken out of what could have been sort of a larger. It's a cleaner sheet of paper. So
Okay.
probably could
But
have
is-
been bound into a book or into a volume, but probably not been yet.
Right, but did we find as the discarded piece of paper like a draft for the same book?
No, no. Well, probably the way that Dander speaks in the first person, these are probably journals or memories or memoirs of some sort. So they could be. But then again, right? Who knows how many books Volo can pull out of just a couple of notes, right?
Touche. Right. Huh. It's funny that we found. This fella seems to be following us around, doesn't he? Not literally. I mean, it's just.
I mean, he was here first.
And yeah. At least we are, I suppose. And I try to make sense of the sheet of paper, see if there is anything about it that speaks of.
Question for our DM: did we figure out any kind of timeline for those diaries? Do we have any idea of when these were
No.
written, or?
Well, you understand that Dander is no longer on the island, and that he was rescued maybe a couple of months ago. But other than that, you've got no idea.
Okay.
You have not pressed that question.
Do you think that maybe we could just ask nicely and they could give us some more details?
I mean, it's thanks to us that they even know that all of this is going down. So, yeah, I think in this case, asking nicely might just get us somewhere. But what do you call asking nicely?
So you just clearly gave Gizmo a quest and he will fulfill it. That's your words, not mine. So I literally just grab back the sheets of paper from Farron's hands. I run to the nearest trunk and I knock on it, calling the very nice lady that is supposed to look on us.
Okay.
I don't know what I expected.
Chaos. Always expect chaos.
When a kobold is involved, yeah, that's a good rule of thumb.
The subtlety, and then there's kobold. How? So you knock twice, and then how patient are you? Do you end up just going, tick, 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 or just wait?
I mean, so far I saw that she pops up pretty.
Takes a
quickly,
minute or
so-
two, yeah.
Yeah, but I wait a minute or two like everybody else did for now.
Okay.
If it starts to take 5 minutes, I start getting nervous. Then yes.
But yes, so you can see pushing through the. This time it doesn't seem to be. How should I say it? She doesn't walk out, but rather you can see the face of Koya sort of move out as if she were pressing her face behind a sheet of sort of cloth or something along those lines. So it's still the textured wall, but you can see maybe sort of glowing just behind, and so in a sort of a muffled way. The mouth doesn't really open, but you said, "Yes, can I help you?"
Hello.
Hello.
We've got 2 questions.
Yes.
If you can reply, please. There's like, are the trees magical here? Like how? Because we feel some kind of vibration and what are these? And I show her the pages.
Oh, you'll have to talk to the captain about that. I can't really say.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's anything urgent, let me know. But things are busy here, so thank you. And the it just retreats back into the wall.
I run back to Farron. She says we have to ask the captain.
That makes sense, especially since you asked about, the tree as well. Like, give it time. You might get answers. You might not get them right now.
But I asked nicely.
You did, and she gave a nice answer. Just how long did you... What's the longest you've waited between wanting something and doing something about it?
What do you mean waiting?
Yeah, about that. Okay, I suppose there's no time like the present. And Farron is essentially going to try and explain to the equivalent of a living sugar rush the concept of delayed gratification.
And on that note, speaking of delayed gratification, how about we take our break?
Nice.
Sounds good.
Right. Friends, you know the drill. Actually, we will see you in the next part of tonight. Promise, we will be there. See you on the other
Will
side.
be a part 2 this time.
There will be a part 2 to the, yeah.